The Addiction to Flavor. Chapter 2. What is food and what isn't? The difference between food, seasoning, and stimulant. Introduction. The new map. Not everything you ingest is food. In the modern world, a simple and fundamental truth has been lost. Not everything that can be chewed, swallowed, or digested is food. Popular language has lumped everything under the same word, and with that, a deep confusion has been sown, the belief that eating anything is the same as nourishing. But the body doesn't follow marketing definitions or advertisements. The body knows. And when something enters it, the body analyzes it, interprets it, recognizes or rejects it. Everything that enters passes through an invisible filter. Does this serve me or not? Does this bring life or just take up space? That is the real difference between food and non-food. Food is something the body recognizes as its own. Something it can assimilate, transform, and convert into vital energy, repair, or growth. Non-food is anything the body doesn't know what to do with. It tolerates it, encapsulates it, stores it, pushes it to areas where it won't cause too much trouble, but it doesn't integrate it. It doesn't turn it into life. It keeps it as waste that accumulates over time. And that includes a long list of substances present in today's edible products: additives, preservatives, colorants, sweeteners, flavor enhancers, stabilizers, thickeners, invisible plastics. Substances that are not immediate poisons, but they are not life either. They are inert matter that deceives the palate and confuses the body. This chapter proposes returning to discernment, to naming things clearly, to separate what was mixed, to put everything in its place: food, seasoning, stimulant, and the symbolic garbage the system taught us to swallow. Because only when we recover the internal map can the body begin to trust again. What is food? The difference between what nourishes and what merely fills. For something to be considered food, it's not enough that it can be swallowed or that it creates a sensation of fullness. A real food is something the body can naturally use, without extra effort, without leaving behind waste, and that provides what the body truly needs: usable energy, functional nutrients, and materials to repair or sustain the organism. Food is what the body recognizes. It processes it easily, assimilates it, transforms it into energy, or incorporates it as part of itself. It doesn't reject it, encapsulate it, or store it as waste. On the contrary, it integrates it efficiently with minimal strain. This is not the case with most industrialized products. Even if they contain calories or are designed to look like food, they are not real food. They are lab-created products made to simulate flavor, texture, and sensation, but they do not fulfill the original function of food: to nourish. Often, the body doesn't know what to do with those substances. It doesn't recognize them, can't process them well, and ends up storing them however it can. When something can't be fully used, the body doesn't discard it right away. If it can't eliminate it, it stores it. And it often stores it in low movement areas: abdomen, hips, arms, legs. It's not fat as people commonly believe. It's accumulated material, often inert, that couldn't be used or eliminated. And here's the key point: what makes you gain weight isn't food itself, but what the body can't transform into usable energy. What makes you gain weight is the residue. It's what accumulates. It's what doesn't move. And what doesn't move is usually what the body doesn't recognize as its own. Fruits, vegetables, grains, natural meats, legumes, healthy fats, seeds, all of these are food. The body understands them. It knows what to do with them. It makes use of them. But when it's offered a mix of chemicals with flavorings, sweeteners, colorings, and preservatives, there is no clear reading. There's no internal code saying, this is useful. So the body does what it can. It stores it. The food industry has turned artificial products into substitutes for real food. It gave them appealing labels, added empty calories, and marketed them as part of a normal diet. But the result is clear: overloaded bodies with excess volume and a lack of real energy. Plenty of food, little nutrition. That's why understanding what food is means recovering a basic principle. If what you're about to eat doesn't strengthen you, doesn't contribute, doesn't feel light and functional in the body, then it probably isn't food. It may be a craving, an edible object, a momentary source of pleasure, but not true food. This distinction isn't based on ideology, trends, or extremism. It's based on functionality, on observing what the body can easily assimilate and what forces it to make unnecessary effort. Eating well isn't about counting calories. It's about understanding what's valuable and what's not. The goal isn't to stop eating, or to eat less, or to make absurd sacrifices. The goal is to eat with logic, to return to the simple, to return to the recognizable, to return to what the body understands. Because in the end, food isn't what fills the plate. It's what truly nourishes the body. The great lie of calories. Not everything that provides energy nourishes. For years, the world of nutrition revolved around a number: calories. We were taught that the most important thing about eating was counting how much energy a food contained, as if it all came down to a math equation. Eat fewer calories than you burn. That was the formula. Simple, logical on the surface, and profoundly mistaken. The concept of calories, as applied to food, doesn't distinguish quality, origin, or physiological impact. A portion of fresh vegetables and a processed cookie may have the same calorie count, but they do not have the same effect on the body. Yet, in the logic of the system, they are seen as equal. That's the trap. A calorie is merely a measure of combustion in a laboratory. It says nothing about whether that energy will be useful, whether it will cause inflammation, leave behind residues, overload the liver, or contribute to healthy digestion. It only measures how much heat a substance generates when burned. But the human body is not a furnace. It's a complex system, full of signals, priorities, regulations, and finely balanced chemical reactions. When we eat real food, like a fruit or an egg, the body processes it easily, absorbs what it needs, and eliminates the rest without issue. But when we eat ultra-processed food full of chemicals, even if it's low in calories, the body cannot do the same. It spends more energy trying to interpret what entered than it receives, and often ends up harming itself in the process. The focus on calories has shifted attention away from what matters most: quality. We stopped looking at the origin, the process, the composition, and the real impact of what we eat. The industry took advantage of this and started creating light or low-calorie products that are actually high in distortion. Edibles that deceive the body, don't nourish, but sell because they don't make you fat. And so a new confusion was born. People began to fear natural foods, like olive oil, avocado, eggs, or fruit, while consuming artificial products freely because they were low-calorie. The result is a population that is malnourished, fatigued, anxious, overfed in volume but undernourished in substance. It's not about eating more or fewer calories. It's about eating better, about eating what the body can use, about stopping the habit of filling the body with what's useless, just because it fits the calorie budget of the day. Calories don't tell the truth. They are just a number without context. What matters isn't how much energy something has, but what kind of energy it gives, and what it demands of the body in return. Real food gives and sustains. Fake food demands, depletes, and confuses. The calorie lie has made many people feel guilty for eating real food, while uncritically consuming artificial substances that deteriorate their health in the long run. It's time to escape that trap. You don't live better by eating less. You live better by eating with awareness. It's not fat that makes you gain weight. Unrecognized substances that the body encapsulates. For a long time, fat was blamed for weight gain. Low-fat products were promoted, oil was avoided, egg yolks discarded, butter demonized. Yet the obesity epidemic kept growing. How is it possible that the more fat was restricted, the more people gained weight? The answer is simple, and deeply ignored. It's not fat itself that makes you gain weight, but what the body cannot recognize, process, or eliminate. It's not natural fat that causes the problem, but the accumulation of unusable substances that the body stores because it doesn't know what else to do with them. The body is designed to adapt, but also to protect itself. When it receives a substance it cannot identify as food, preservatives, colorants, artificial flavorings, texturizers, thickeners, etc., it tries to break it down. If it can't, it encapsulates it. That is, it stores it. And it stores it in specific places, low circulation areas, where it won't interfere with vital functions. That's where the deposits appear. The body creates them as a defense mechanism, not as a mistake. Accumulated fat is often not energy in reserve, it's encapsulated waste. They are particles with no function, inert substances that couldn't be used or expelled. They are remnants of edible products that were never truly food. And the less a body area moves, the more likely it is to become a storage site. That's why fat tends to settle in the hips, abdomen, arms, back, or legs, areas with little sustained movement. The body, logically, seeks out the periphery. It doesn't want those residues near the heart, lungs, or brain. It pushes them to the edges. This mechanism has nothing to do with how much food is eaten. It's about the quality. A person can eat little and still gain weight if what they consume is full of unrecognized substances. And someone else can eat more, but eat naturally, and not accumulate fat if the body can process everything smoothly. That's why some people eat a lot and don't gain weight, and others gain weight without eating much. The equation isn't about volume, it's about compatibility. The body gains weight when it can't use what it's given. The same happens with flavor overload. When the body constantly receives intensely flavored products, the digestive and nervous systems become overstimulated, but often there's no real substance behind it. The body expects something that never comes. So it prepares to digest, releases enzymes, mobilizes resources, but since what entered isn't usable, what remains is residue, overload, and fatigue. The digestive system was created to process what nature offers, simple foods with recognizable composition. It wasn't designed to break down chemical mixtures that only exist in labs. Forcing the body to deal with that every day doesn't just exhaust it, it deforms it. Understanding this is liberating, because it means the body isn't broken, it's defending itself. It's not malfunctioning, it's trying to stay balanced in an artificial environment. And if we stop feeding it garbage disguised as food, if we respect it, move it, and listen to it, it recovers its shape, its rhythm, its clarity. It's not about attacking fat. It's about stopping the generation of waste. And for that, we must stop consuming lies. The role of seasonings. When flavor accompanies, not dominates. Flavor, in its origin, was a guide, a signaling system that helped the body recognize what was suitable to eat and what should be avoided. Natural tastes, like the sweetness of ripe fruit or the bitterness of a medicinal plant, acted as indicators of properties. Taste served the body. Flavor accompanied nourishment. It wasn't the center. Over time, that relationship shifted. Flavor took center stage. It became the dominant criterion. If something tastes good, we eat it. If it doesn't, we reject it, even if it's nutritious. We lost sight of the fact that flavor pleasure is secondary to food's purpose. And what used to be a seasoning often became a trap. Seasonings exist to enhance or highlight flavors, not to disguise what we're eating. But the industry uses them the other way around, to cover up, to mask, to make unattractive food seem appealing. Artificial sauces are added to bland products, processed meats are coated in sweet glazes, dishes are drowned in intense dressings so no one notices the poor quality of the main ingredient. The problem isn't in the seasoning itself, but in how it's used. A good oil, a bit of natural salt, herbs, real spices, they can enrich real food. But when seasoning becomes the main event, all discernment is lost. It's no longer about food, it's about impact. Flavor stops being a complement and becomes a soft drug. It may not excite like an illegal substance, but it changes behavior, desire, and bodily perception. Many people don't eat because they're hungry. They eat because the flavor combination triggers a brief, addictive pleasure. And so, the palate stops responding to the body and starts responding to habit. This creates a paradox. You can have a complete, colorful, fresh salad in front of you, but if it has no dressing, some people can't enjoy it. Because the body has learned to associate food with strong stimulus. The natural relationship with food has been broken. That's why it's important to understand the role of seasonings. When they accompany, they enrich. When they dominate, they distort. Smart use of flavor allows enjoyment without losing balance. But constant abuse creates insensitivity, dependency, and disorder. And that affects more than just the palate. Excessive seasonings, especially artificial or ultra-processed ones, stimulate the digestive system unnecessarily. They activate gastric juices when unneeded, alter stomach pH, overload the liver, raise blood pressure, and end up placing a much greater physiological demand than real food ever would. Returning to using flavor as a tool, and not as bait, is a fundamental step toward restoring balance. It means learning to feel what you eat again, finding pleasure in the subtle, the simple, the real, rediscovering the taste of roasted vegetables with nothing added, the sweetness of a fruit without extras, the scent of a freshly ground seed. Because when flavor stops dominating, the body begins to speak more clearly. And when we listen to what the body says, eating once again becomes what it was always meant to be, a way to sustain life, not numb it. Chapter conclusion. Eating truth to cleanse the lie. Reaching this point is the beginning of seeing something long disguised. Much of what we eat is not food, and much of what makes us gain weight isn't fat. It's accumulated lies in the form of unrecognized substances. It's excess stimulus, waste, interference. The body doesn't make mistakes. It doesn't gain weight just because. It doesn't retain for no reason. It doesn't lose energy out of laziness. It does what it can with what it receives. And if what it receives is incoherent, it does the impossible to survive. That's why it encapsulates, stores, hides, retains. Because you didn't give it food, you gave it something that looked like food, but had no function. This chapter has shown that the problem isn't the body, it's the confusion the system implanted in the mind. We were taught to count calories instead of nutrients. Natural fats were sold as enemies while worthless products were promoted. Attention was placed on quantity, not quality. Flavor was turned into a hook that now causes dependence. The way out isn't guilt or restriction. It's not about stopping eating or fearing weight gain. The way out is to relearn what food is. Recovering that definition is recovering control. It's knowing what enters the body, why it enters, and what will happen next. It's no longer putting things inside just because they're allowed, available, or low in calories. The body has a simple logic. It uses what it understands, and stores what it doesn't. It doesn't distinguish between fad diets and advertisements. It just responds to what it can use. That's why the path isn't to eat less, it's to eat truth. Truth the body understands. Truth it can turn into energy, into health, into real strength. And when that happens, the change isn't just physical. The mind becomes organized. Anxiety drops. Hunger regulates itself. Pleasure becomes more authentic. Because we're no longer eating to numb, but to sustain. And when we eat to sustain life, instead of distract ourselves from it, the body responds with clarity. This new paradigm isn't about controlling the body, it's about collaborating with it. Respecting its intelligence. Stopping the habit of forcing it to process what it can't. And finally understanding that excess weight isn't the problem. It's the visible consequence of a consumption system that disregards the truth. The first step, then, is not to stop eating. It's to start choosing. And for that, we must look again, feel again, and call everything by its real name. Because the body doesn't need punishment. What it needs is for you to stop feeding it lies.